It's a mystery of life. Confess you can't deny. On my knees I'll make it right. While the meek toe the line. Beg for forgiveness. Praying for the light. 'Cause the lost are so easy to find. When you can't see what's making you.
Greetings, everybody. This is Richard Solomon taking care of business. We're rocking and rolling today. We are with a band called Speed Merchant, and you're going to be listening to some great tunes. And not only that, we have a mob scene here. we got like more people in the studio than we've ever actually had in a long, long time. We have 5 guys. In fact, I'm going to let Randy Rollner actually introduce everybody because he knows them all. He's an integral part of the band, and he's the guy from the band that I actually know. So he's a really cool guy. And you may be listening to us on 89.7, 88.1 FM. You may be listening to us on iTunes, tcbradio.com, tcbradio.mypodcast.com. And definitely check these guys out on myspace.com/Speed Merchant Band. So, Randy, take it away. Who we got here today?
All right, Rich. We got Craig Jordan on vocals. We've got Rick DeLuca drums. We've got Pete Testa guitars. We also have Anthony Arkin, who is director of State of Rock. And my name is Randy, and I'm on bass.
All right. Any relation to Alan Arkin?
Yeah, he's my dad.
Oh, cool. Let me tell you, The In-Laws, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, that's a good one, for sure.
There you go. So very, very cool. So we have fame and glory and all this other stuff. So let's talk about. So you created a movie called State of Rock.
That's right.
And you actually hung out following these guys,
Yeah.
so like the CIA for like 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Wow. What was the intelligence like? I mean, it's been like.
What's the intel like?
Yes,
The intelligence level.
Well, give me the download.
Well, it was, I started following the band in an earlier incarnation in 2002. And, it was pretty rough. We were all based in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And
A very happening part of town.
yeah, it was a hard Scrabble time for all of us. The salad days. And I filmed it all. We filmed some stuff that can't be in the movie and some stuff that is. And
Will there
it's a
be
wild
special
ride.
bonus features for radio
There will
hosts?
be
and things?
eventually be special bonus features, but there's an extra fee for that. So
Yeah, he's holding us.
So let me ask you, what was first of all, how long is State of Rock?
it's a feature length movie. It's 98 minutes long. It's an hour and 40 minutes.
And how tough was it to make? I can imagine between the filming, the directing, the production, the editing, the compiling, the re-editing, new
Yeah.
material.
A lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. There were only 3 guys making this movie at any given time. Me and my producers, Rob Reams and David Carlson. I did a lot of the shooting. I edited the movie. I co-produced it with them. And it's a lot of work for 3 guys. But you're doing it on your own, so there's no interference from a studio, and there's no interference from guys who put their money in. It was all our money and our choices, so it was easy because of that.
Wow. What was the biggest surprise that you learned in making this movie about the movie-making process and making this particular kind of movie?
Well, documentaries are a lot harder than I thought. I've made other films, but this was the first documentary I did. It's an incredibly detailed process, and you're always missing an important moment. You can never be there all the time. As much as I tried to be, you're only one person, and you can only be there when you're there. So you kick yourself for not having filmed. You kick yourself for not having filmed this show or that moment, but you're there for what you're there for. I also learned that being in a band is not the fantasy that everybody seems to have about it, and if people knew the truth, there might be fewer bands out there actually trying to do this because it's brutal.
People, if they knew the truth, they wouldn't be lawyers either.
Probably not, yeah.
As you know, your host is an attorney.
Or filmmakers, for that matter.
Yeah, right?
What is that song, Mama, don't let your children grow up to be lawyers?
Yeah. It's across the board, pretty much.
kind of thing. So, in the 5 years, did you, schlep all over the place and go in all kinds of odd places?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was all local. It was all, New York and Brooklyn. But we covered a lot of territory. I traveled around everywhere to people's apartments and to the shows that they were doing, particularly to clubs. There was Don Hill's, which is still there in the city, and the old Continental, which was one of the last holdouts for rock clubs in the St. Mark's district. And they don't play music anymore, so we were probably one of the last, real things to shoot a rock show in that club before it closed down, which is kind of cool.
Wow. So what was it like for all of you guys being followed around? I mean, do you feel like you lost a sense of privacy? Did you feel like you had to be more on? A little bit of, sort of like,
Actually, it wasn't that bad because I knew Tony before he started filming. And at first it seemed a little weird, and then after a while you just don't even notice that he's there. So he's just doing his job, and that's what he wanted us to be as free as possible so he can capture us being as natural as possible.
Yeah, I think because all of us knowing Tony prior to the filming happening, it was really easy for us to kind of just act like how we normally act. So
Yeah,
everything that's
I'll
in
have
that
to
film is 100% the real, that's for good and worse.
That's who we are.
That's who we are.
So I got to ask you, was it basically like doing a reality show? Without it being like sort of TV? Or...
No, actually, because reality shows are all scripted.
Yeah.
That's all nonsense.
This
No,
was
that's
just-
absolutely not. None of that stuff is
This
true.
was just plain nonsense.
This was just, real 100% undiluted nonsense.
So give me a little chronology of the movie, how it starts.
Yeah, my wife and I moved to our new apartment in Brooklyn from New York City, and we happened to move in next door to a couple of guys named Randy Rollner and Rick DeLuca who were on our floor, a door away from our building.
This sounds like Seinfeld and Kramer.
It's close to that.
Oh my God, it's Kramer.
You have no idea. And my oldest buddy in the world actually lives across the hall from me currently in the same building, and he found the apartment for me and my wife. So it was a big family kind of situation, and Randy and I kind of circled each other for a while, going, who is this guy, new guy in the building and whatnot. Then I went to a couple of shows and I saw them play in their earlier kind of incarnation, and they blew me away. I'm a big rock fan, and I don't get impressed really easily by live shows, and so this was really something. And then when they lost their singer, who went off to find another career in music.
Is he now a dentist or something?
No, he's still trying to make a go of it, and I realized there was a story in it right away. There was this story of this kind of epic band that lost their front guy, and what are they going to do? They decided to keep going, and I thought, wow. I mean, 99% of bands that lose their front guy, it's over, and they're not gonna quit. So I thought we got something worth filming.
So we got some guts there, some real determination.
These guys got heart.
That's right.
We got hard.
Look, it is. You look at some of the more well-known bands like Journey when they lost Steve Perry, and they've sort of, you're struggling to find, that voice again, or like when Boston lost Brad Phelps, that kind of thing. So it can be pretty brutal if you lose somebody who's the sound. But was it good that it was early enough that when they lost their lead that it was still, they could still recover from that?
I guess you'd have to ask Randy and the
What
boys.
is you guys? What was it?
No,
What was it
go
like?
ahead, Randy. You can feel this one.
I think it was early enough to where we certainly recovered, but the issue is that it's really, really difficult to find that chemistry and that working relationship that gets a band through making the art. So it's very difficult to find somebody who has the talent, the drive, and a vision to actually see through getting to the end of actually producing and writing and recording an album.
Let me also ask you this. Everything is a business, and there's always a tension between sort of artistry and business, because business is boring, it's tough, it's stringent, it's compliance, it's sterile. And artistry is, that whole sort of esoteric, creative thing. And yet you need to do both. You need to run a band sort of like a good business, so you make money and you tour and you sustain yourselves and you have a place to live. do you guys divide up that work, or does everybody share in it, or is it outsourced? And how has that evolved over time?
Well, absolutely. The way we handle it now is, the nice thing about being in a band.
But this is Craig, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Craig Jordan, I'm the singer.
Okay.
And the nice thing about dealing with 4 individuals is everybody brings something to the table. I'm pretty good with computers, so I tend to be the one that gravitates towards the MySpace thing and promoting on that end. Rick is a chef as well as an excellent drummer, so he keeps us well fed when we're out there on the road or in the studio recording. And, so everybody brings something to the table, which is kind of cool. It's the nice thing about being in a band with a group of individuals.
So what's your favorite dish?
Oh, I have many, all different styles. Everything from
Iron-
Thai. I don't have a
Iron Chef rock and roll?
Yeah, man, you know it, man. Asian chopsticks. I play drums, so it's all about the sticks. You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm a big fan of Iron Chef. So
Yeah, same here. It's pretty. In
fact, we did a show on this radio show with New Tang Dynasty TV, where they actually do a gigantic cooking competition. And for those who are listening to this, check out our archives at tcbradio.com. And tcbradio.mypodcast.com. And by the way, just for station ID, you're listening to Taking Care of Business. Richard Solomon, your host on WCWP, broadcast from the Abrams Communications Center of Long Island University in Brookville, New York. So there you go. Okay, so I understand, even though this show is going to be broadcast in the future, I understand that you're going to have a nice big screening on Thursday, October 29th, 2009 at 8 p.m. in Williamsburg for the movie. So why don't you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, it's pretty cool. We got a nice screening on home turf, which is always kind of nice. People that have heard about this movie for as long as we've been making it are kind of going.
So these are the people you dragged through for 5 years.
Oh yeah, well, like you didn't make a movie. We're like, yes, we did make a movie. You can see it on Thursday. The coolest part about it though is that it's also the band is going to play a set right after the screening, so people can see, the whole package, the trials and tribulations, and then the outcome. It's going to be a pretty cool night, I think. Yeah, they're also. We should plug EMOC. They're going to be playing with you guys also.
Right. Who are they?
EMOC's another local band in and out of New York City area that we've recently become friends with.
Ah, cool. All right, so let's talk about the music. I understand that we've been playing just sort of very, very low through the soundboard. Some of this very brand new music, which I understand is so brand new that not only is this a sort of world premiere, but it actually was the first time you guys actually heard the masters.
Absolutely.
So, wow. Yeah. So, wow. Woo!
Yeah,
all
man.
right, rock and roll.
Hey.
Okay. So here's the question.
I'm liking it.
So what was your impression? It's sort of like you just heard your own CD. What'd you think? And what was your impression? What hit you the most?
The amazing work magic that Ron St. Germain can perform. That for one. I mean, we heard all the rough mixes up until today, and he was out in California mastering all last week. Got it back to Randy, I think it was on Thursday. So we're all hearing it for the first time tonight, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it just puts everything into perspective, and it just gives it that nice shimmer, clean sound, and it's a real record. So
that was Pete, by the way, who's on guitar. Tell me a little bit about the album, and also I understand that your producer's kind of has some experience under his belt, having worked with some other rock bands before.
Correct. Ron St. Germain is, what can I say? He is an incredibly gifted, patient, nurturing kind of guy.
Did he need to have patience with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't.
He still is a patient nurturing
right?
guy.
You can only stuff so much ego in a room. So he's kind of like a music producer is much like a director of a movie. He kind of wrangles in all the ideas and makes it cohesive, and puts that nice little glass and sparkle and glitter, and it just enhances the overall process and a lot of the technical things that go along with recording music. So I don't think that we we could have found a better guy to do the job, and we're very lucky and fortunate to be able to work with him and to share the experience of making an album. Ron has produced everybody from Tool, Soundgarden, 311, Creed, the Bad Brains, to name a few. So he's got a couple underneath his belt.
Wow. So what was it? What was it sort of like to create the album? To talk about sort of the songwriting process, the tune process, putting it all together. Working out sort of the, some of the issues and finding that sound and the voice to match it, and because everybody has the illusion that a guy's in the shower and he's going, and he goes, oh, then he grabs a guitar, and
Well, sometimes it happens that way, believe it or not.
and then the next thing you know, but the next day it's completely produced and done, So I mean, does it ever happen that fast?
Some songs do happen that fast. Other ones, we try not to strangle each other in the rehearsal room, because everybody's got a valid opinion on where they think the song should go, and it's about listening to everybody's opinion and coming to a collective consciousness, if you will, of the outcome.
A democracy.
Yeah, we try to be as much as possible, and it usually starts off very small, like a little baby, and it just has to be nurtured. And the more you work on it, you wind up with a fabulous piece of art by the time you get to the end.
So I got to ask Anthony, how does that get reflected in the movie? The whole music making process.
There's a bit of it. The movie more focuses on the kind of grunt work that's involved in being in a working band. So the creative aspect in terms of writing tunes, a lot of the songs that I was following them while they were performing and stuff had already been written. So I wasn't really around for that much, creative inspiration from them. But I definitely got to see what it was like, the dynamic in the rehearsal room, which is pretty intense, I come from a theater background, and so I'm used to rehearsals and stuff. But this is like, it's rehearsing on steroids, and it's I mean, there's an intensity to it. It's democratic from what I saw, but there can be some screaming and yelling in that democracy. And
well, you see, like in Britain, how Parliament, they kind of freak out.
Yeah.
It's kind of that.
We call that passion.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that should have been the name of the album.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion there.
I mean, it's clear that if one piece of the puzzle falls apart, the whole thing falls apart. It's very easy to see that when you're looking at a band's dynamic over the course of a few years. It's really only as good as each individual. And so it seems like after an enormous amount of trial and tribulation, these guys have got it to a place where everybody's rowing in the same direction and everybody's, truly communicating and stuff. And that's key. I don't think bands can really make it unless that's happening on some level.
Well, is that a function of chemistry, or is that philosophy, or both?
It's got to be both. You have to have band members in the same boat, rowing in the same direction all at the same time. Other than it's going to be complete chaos. You have to have that in a creative realm, and you have to have that in a what do I want out of this situation, whether it's business or anything like that.
So how do you guys know each other? Because I know that you met Kramer and stuff like that. So but how do you guys know each other?
Well, it's a pretty interesting story, actually.
Yeah.
Rick and Pete and I, this is Craig, by the way. Rick and Pete and I were in a band together prior to Girls of Porn. So
were there any girls in the Girls of Porn band?
I wasn't around for that.
No, we were just big fans of them.
Technically, there wasn't any girls in the band.
Right. But were there any musicians who were women?
But we were in the Girls of Porn.
Okay.
We'll leave that to the imagination.
Still FCC compliant, so keep rolling.
You like that?
I like that. Yeah.
But we had been in a band, and we kind of parted ways after a few years of slugging it out there in the village scene and Manhattan, trying to make it and all that. And they went on and did their own thing. I kind of went my own way. And Rick and I actually hadn't talked in, 10 plus years. And I've been trying to reach out to him, and he wasn't returning my phone call a couple times.
I was like, oh, it's you again? Oh,
Busy,
my
I'm busy,
God.
Yeah, I figured he was still holding a grudge for something I did. But anyhow, one day, I was getting a cup of coffee, and my phone rings, and I looked down, and it was Rick. So I had a full charge 1 minute, and next thing you know, 3 hours later, my phone was beeping at me because the battery was dead, and we had caught up as much as we could. And he told me about the project he was in, and sent me some material, and kind of the rest is history. But going back to what you were saying, I think that the chemistry has to be there, and I think the reason why it is because we go way back. I mean, we're like brothers.
History,
we've been through so much together. The only person that I didn't really know was Randy, but when I met him the first time, I instantly knew that he's one of the boys, kind of thing.
So how did you guys meet?
Actually, well, back in the day, I was doing my own thing in a band. I had just played the Limelight, or I think something like that, and they were looking for a singer. They were in another band that kind of lost their singer, and they had heard about me through the channel. Somehow a tape got to me one night. Somebody handed a tape to me, and I went home and listened to it, and I liked it. So I called them up, and
that was it.
Yeah,
we took it from there.
Okay.
Because you were actually playing bass in the band.
That's how you and I
were.
met. Yeah.
So wait, you
that
got to
what's
Craig.
going on?
You know the story, and I'm
Yeah.
sure this is going to be in the movie. But for the people who are listening, this is like, whoa, what are they talking about?
Okay. Pete and myself, I was playing drums in this other band with Pete was actually playing bass.
Just for something to do at
Yeah.
the time. Nothing was
And-
going on, and that's how we met. And I just got tired of playing bass because my natural instrument is guitar. So I decided I wasn't going to play bass anymore and leave the band. And Rick decided, well, if you're coming, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, because he
And-
rips us on guitar. So I said, "Oh, you're leaving. You're better than the
Thank
guitar
you.
player. You're very welcome. You're so much better than the guitar player that was playing guitar in the band." And he decided to split. So I said, "Well, I'm going to go with you."
Right. And that's how it all started. And it wasn't too well. It was quite
It was
a bit of time before we
find the
met
bass-
Craig. Before we found Craig, and
Right.
then we got a bass player. And actually, we found the bass player first, and so on. And that was it. That was basically how our history together started.
Us three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then how'd you meet Randy?
That was Rick.
Well, I was in after the band that us three were in. Besides Randy, we departed ways, and I played in several other bands. And the singer that was playing with Randy, I guess they were looking for a drummer. He contacted me because the old band with Craig, myself, and Pete, we used to open up for our ex-singer's band. And I guess he enjoyed the way I played drums, and he contacted me to come into an audition with Randy,
I
and
love
I met
this
him.
story too. This is a great story. So, it's myself, our singer buddy, who's no longer in a band, and our guitar player buddy Timmy. Okay, and we're looking for the drummer, and we haven't.
Is that Tim Rockmore?
Yeah, it is Tim Rockmore.
Yes.
I know Tim Rockmore.
Yeah.
In fact, Jonestown was in the studio also. at
Oh,
one point.
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And Brother Mustard. Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah.
So Tim Rockmore and I and singer guy audition Rick. And we have him down, and there's 6-pack of beer, and we're hacking it out, and we're playing for 20 minutes, and then it's in this rehearsal studio in Brooklyn, and we're just killing it, and Rick break.
Is this Coyote Studios?
This is Coyote
I know
Studios.
Tim. Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
so there's at Coyote Studios, meanwhile, playing it, hacking out 20 minutes into the session of just hanging out. Rick breaks the kick drum head, and it was so. Do you want the gig? It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was instant. He was the guy.
So,
it's pretty difficult.
as the band exists in its current form, when was the first time you guys actually played together in public? Where was that?
Well,
Thursday night.
Crickets.
This coming Thursday.
We have yet to play out
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we basically got right into the studio. We rehearsed
No
for a
kidding.
couple of months, 2 months, maybe 3 months tops, and hit the
So
studio.
that's
It was recorded.
the well, first let me say one thing about the Long Island music scene, and New York and stuff. It's a pretty closed circuit type deal, so as far as us kind of meeting each other, it's kind of destined to happen because the cream rises to the top, and it's such a small group of really talented people on Long Island and Manhattan that everybody that's, you know, worth their weight kind of knows each other. But, you know, Rick had recorded some of this material already and then sent it to me. And, you know, I have my home studio thing, so I actually recorded some vocals and pre-production type stuff in my home studio and sent it off to these guys. And so that's basically, we haven't really written that much together yet.
Yeah.
Not from scratch. No, I
Right.
don't think.
We've
Not-
done some stuff in the studio, like a couple of songs, 2 or 3 songs in our rehearsal studio. But a lot of the stuff that was done on this 4-song EP that's coming out was done, they had the music, sent it to me, and I brought it up in my home studio and kind of recorded it there. And we kicked ideas back and forth, you know, via the internet. It's amazing how you can do those things these days.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you think about it, the idea of people not really being together and making music is a little odd. I know that certain bands, like I think Fleetwood Mac had something where they weren't getting along, and I think they, like, you know, I think Mick Fleetwood laid down the bass somewhere, and Mick Fleetwood did the drums,
right.
and McVie did like the bass like separately, and I think Stevie Nicks wasn't talking to Lindsey Buckingham, so like they did.
And that's what created the greatest album, one of the greatest rock albums ever. All that tension.
Well,
you
well,
know?
if you ever just for the people who are listening out there, if you ever want to read a really good rock and roll book, My Life and Times in Fleetwood Mac by Mick Fleetwood is actually a great story because he talks about. I mean, I read it a long, long time ago, but I remember there's certain books out there like, you know, No One Gets Out of Here Alive and Hammer of the Gods. There's just certain great books.
Yeah.
And Mick Fleetwood's book was, he talks about his 26-hour fight with his wife over the telephone. It's like the longest. He said he was like in Hawaii and his wife was in England or something like that because, you know, Sarah's the story of Stevie Nicks' apology for having bedded Mick Fleetwood. So, you know, and there was some tension. Yeah, speaking of tension, there's always tension and things like that. But that became a great song.
Absolutely.
But, you know, so you're sort of like the guy who's writing the book about the band in a way.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of brings it all back together.
Yeah, indeed. You know, I mean, anybody that's a fan of this band is going to want to know what the genesis of it was, I would think, and it's pretty far-reaching. You know, it's a little more. There's a little more to the movie than the Girls of Porn, which is what they were. I don't know if we can say that. Can you say that?
Yeah, you can say it. Yeah, you
no,
can
but
say
I mean the band used to be called that. That was their earlier incarnation.
Well, the Beatles were the Silver Beatles, and
Yeah, exactly.
and then they were the Quarrymen before that. So
Yeah.
Well, we pretty much changed our name of the band every time we found another singer because it gave a totally different sound to the band. So, and how many singers did we go through, Randy? 6?
5, I don't know. But we lost
It's
count.
in the movie,
It's-
but it got to the point that we definitely lost count of
Yeah.
them.
I
They would
covered 5
flake
of-
out.
5 of
I
them.
mean, they got to the point that they'd sound good enough on the demos, and then we'd bring them into the studio at Ron St. Germain, and they would choke. Like, they wouldn't be able to perform. And 2 days prior, they were fantastic. It's like, I don't quite understand what happened.
That red light syndrome.
Yeah.
I told Anthony that you know, he started picking up and doing a little bit of filming during the final day or two of recording at the studio. And I kind of pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, you know, Anthony, make sure you make me look as cool as Constantine."
taller, you know, thinner.
Get a lot of upshot.
Some of the people that you know were in the movie actually went on to do some other stuff as well. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's an interesting footnote. Is that that when I got on board to start filming, I think they'd already had an ad out in the local papers to find a new singer, and one of the guys that they tried to work with was a guy named Constantine Maroulis, who is now a Tony-nominated Broadway star, and you know, he was a casualty of American Idol.
How did that
He
happen?
did really well. This was all before American Idol. We have about a 20 minutes of the film is his involvement with their band, and it didn't work out. They parted ways, but
Was he the Pete Best, or you know, one of those things?
That's more of a casualty of things just not gelling. That's a good example of
When the chemistry
when the
doesn't work.
chemistry doesn't work.
I mean, obviously, Konstantin Maroulis can sing his ass off, and he's really talented. It wasn't the right fit, and that was the point, and it wasn't the right fit a bunch of times with a bunch of guys. So
That's not it.
Exactly.
Well, the thing, but it's like dating, I mean, your first girlfriend is generally not the one you get married to.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. That's why it's called dating, because you're checking people out and you want to see if the philosophy and the
unless you marry your high school sweetheart,
But that could be like like Pete Townsend. That could be like a Led Zeppelin.
Well, yeah. You show me a band that isn't struggling and fighting and upset, and I'll be amazed.
Yeah.
So who's the songwriter of all you guys?
We all write songs.
Yeah, we all contribute.
Okay, but do you collaborate, or is it each guy throws a song into the ring?
Nah, pretty much everybody comes in with an idea, and we hash it out in the rehearsal room,
Yeah, so some people bring riffs and some type of arrangement, while the other guys who are not so intimate with it will be a second-party listener and be able to pick out the juicy parts of the tune and make that more of a prominent part of the arrangement. So I think that it's a nice balance between people coming up with stuff and then other people taking that into consideration and then being able to put all the pieces together.
All right, cool. Got to do station ID. You're listening to Taking Care of Business on WCWP. You may be listening to us on FM, and you may be listening to us on tcbradio.com streaming or on podcast at tcbradio.mypodcast.com. Our guests are the band Speed Merchant and their award-winning movie filmmaker, director, Anthony Arkin, who's made a movie called State of Rock. And check them out at stateofrockthemovie.com, which, by the way, won the Best Editor Award at the Santa Fe Film Festival, but we're just getting started. So, they'll be. And check them out on myspace.com/speedmerchantband. By the way, what we should probably do is play some music.
Yeah,
right. So
we'd love to hear it.
All right. So here's the thing. See, we spare no expense. So let me go get the engineer. Okay, I'm here. And the interns. Oh yeah, that would be me too. And let's see. We should do what, track one again, or what track do you like?
We're gonna go with track one.
All right, let's go with track one.
That's
All
it.
right, so let's see. Let me go with track one. This says sleep, so let's go with this one. All right, there's track one, and let's do that. And let's see if we can get. Let's see if this is going. Here we go. And the name of the song?
I'm not letting go. Find me walking down this cold, lonely road. Sometimes you run away, scared to fight another day, never knowing
Wow, that was pretty cool. Oh, see how fast I was?
Thank you.
Great engineering staff. I have to reprimand them later. It's always good to have dead air. Okay. Wow, Never Letting Go. That was just totally awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Very much.
And is that in the movie?
That is not in the movie.
Oh, wow. So
That's a new,
this is an exclusive here. Wow.
Yeah.
This is, So what's the next song? Because we have a song. What's track 2?
Track 2 is Rosalie.
Okay. Let's see if we can just pop that right in.
She left no one realized. Abuse was too much to endure. Changed so they won't recognize her anymore. Push it away, throw it away. Not a million miles away. No, they can't hurt you anymore. Gonna leave this town in search of something more. Bags are packed and fueling up the car. She's gonna drive as fast as she can. 3 a.m. ritual, secrets you hide in the arms of a mother, the dreams of a child slowly die. Can't hurt you anymore. Push it away, throw it away, run a million miles away. No, they can't hurt you anymore. Gonna leave this town in search of something more. Bags are packed and fueling up the car. She's gonna drive as fast as she can. My sweet Rosalie, drive as fast as you can. My sweet Rosalie. Counting all the times you tried to take your life. No one ever believed, they all just said that you lied. No, they can't hurt you anymore. Gonna leave this town in search of something more. Bags are packed and fueling up the car. She's gonna drive as fast as she can. My sweet Rosalie, drive as fast as you can. My sweet Rosalie.
I'm always leaving and then you're coming in.
Okay. And that was Rosalie. So anyway, we're just closing the door there because there's a ruckus going on. Okay.
Rock and roll show, man.
Oh, that's right. So we were talking during the time in which the very cool music was playing, and I asked off air, what was it like to actually hear this compared to the way you experienced making it?
Well, making it was kind of a blur. Because we took a
Is
day.
that a rock and roll thing, or is that just a time thing?
That's code. Blue Monkey.
Blue Monkey. We took a day on getting drum sounds, and then afterwards, Randy and myself were so pumped up, we decided to get extremely intoxicated. So, needless to say, the next day we went in to actually record. The hangover was more than just a hangover. We were still kind of intoxicated.
Oh, it was fierce.
We tracked, and it's all kind of a blur of the recording process itself. But then hearing it back, you're going, listening time again, you're listening to it going, I played that? I don't recall playing that drum fill there, or I'm sure with Randy, that bass run or something. It's kind of bizarre.
I think that's, maybe why they call them albums, because they're like snapshots of moments that get captured, It's nice to kind of that's nice there, even though you don't remember doing it.
Now, talk to me about what your producer did to the sound. Because you were saying how it's very balanced and clear, but go beyond that. What would you say? What would you say was what you produced, and what was the difference between that and the end product?
Well, for the most part, I mean, he's a genius at capturing our sound, number one. I mean, what you're hearing there is just us mic'd up and boom, there. But he just puts that glassy shimmer on top of it that just makes it sound so full and rich and, everything you could ever imagine. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to hear myself recorded this well, and it's finally there.
Wow.
Recording on $1 million console. too,
Exactly,
Mean something like this? Pointing to the Abrams Communications state-of-the-art equipment.
There is nothing better as a musician to be able to hear your music that you've written and collaborated with on millions of dollars worth of gear. It's the best.
What's also great about working with Ron St. Germain is he knows your ability as a musician, and he pulls out the best traits in you,
Right.
and makes that come across through the speakers. It's unbelievable because you have the capability as a musician inside you, and he hears what maybe you're not doing as proficient as you can, and he just says, let me pull this out of you because there's something magical about that one thing that you do that makes it personal, of your own trait and sound, and he'll just enhance that so it's more of you on the recording, which is incredible.
How long did it for him to get to really know you as a band and know your sound as a band?
Ron has heard demos prior to walking in the room with us, so he had a pretty clear idea of a direction of where we wanted to go. He also spent a lot of time with us in rehearsal studios, just sitting down on the floor, listening just to the band rehearse, and then he'd like, okay, everybody stop. Hey, Rick, drums, why don't we try this beat in this section? Randy, don't play so much in this section. He has an incredible ability to be able to hone in on every single instrument, including vocals or guitar, drums, and put clarity on every single instrument for the good of the whole band sound, for the good of the arrangement, for the creative process. He gets rid of a lot of unnecessary things that musicians tend to overindulge themselves. So he pulls it all together to make it sound really cohesive.
It's got to be kind of amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
that's
I mean, we're
conversation.
talking about a producer that is responsible for we're talking about a producer that's responsible for some of the best rock and metal and punk records to come out in the last 20 years. I mean, for real. And I mean, what's it like to be? I mean, I know Randy and Rick have been working with Ron and known Ron for a long time, but Craig and Pete, I mean, this is like a guy. I mean, I don't know if you grew up on his records, but
Absolutely.
for a large part of your formative musical years, you were listening to his records.
No doubt. I didn't know what to expect. I was actually nervous going in, but he's such a great guy that in a matter of 15 minutes, I felt right at home with him, and it just went. And it was just
Was
really
there an
easy.
adrenaline thing, like you want to please this guy?
Oh,
He's such
absolutely,
Did that
absolutely.
help the process for you?
I think
did
so.
Playing nervous, like, make it better for you? Or?
Well, in the beginning, it actually hurt because I was rushing everything because of my nerves. But like I said, within 15 minutes of tracking, it was like, okay, no problem. I mean,
Right.
he was just an easygoing guy, and like Rick said, he just brings it out of you.
Yeah.
He's just got that knack.
That's like sitting down with Steven Spielberg or something.
There
I mean,
you go.
It's he's such he's so huge. For people that don't know the contribution of a producer, it's massive, and he's just amazing.
Well, I guess the one thing that's sort of universal is what George Martin did for the Beatles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the Beatles really wouldn't be where the Beatles are today if it wasn't for George Martin. I
No
mean,
doubt.
He certainly, really, he had a classical music background, and I guess for people who may not know music the way like you guys do, think of George Martin, because he's probably one of the more older statesmen of older music.
Yeah, and you hardly think
production.
of the Beatles without thinking of him. I mean, he's like a member of the
Right.
band.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's how a producer should be.
Right.
Yeah.
They should be.
Well, I guess also, it is because they're sort of outside of the band. They're objective. and they can kind of hear things fresher.
Absolutely, but Ron really was invested in us as people, though, and that really put us at ease while we're in the studio. And while we weren't in the studio, it was like hanging out with another one of your buddies. I mean, he welcomed us into his home and his heart, and I think that he is just as excited. In producing and doing this record as the band was. It wasn't like just another everyday day at the office for Ron.
And I'm holding the FedEx. There it is. I'm holding that from, there it is. This. I'm actually, you know what? You're going to have to save this FedEx for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No doubt.
Or
The
something
archives.
like that. I'm holding it right here. So, I don't know how to do this better for radio, but right here in my hands with the FedEx packaging is, this is it. So, just like when you go to Cleveland to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and you see, the letter to Jim Morrison's parents about his behavior issues, I have another rock and roll artifact. By the way, that was pretty funny where his parents apologized to the school saying, we can't control him either. Or you see Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze was actually Purple Haze, Jesus Saves. He wrote it on a napkin, and then he kind of crossed out and rearranged it. So, this will be part of it.
Yeah.
One other element to the magic there is also the engineer that worked with us, Pete DeBoer. I'd like to give a shout out to him. I mean,
absolutely, we're totally
he really did
neglecting
a
our
great
buddy
job
Pete.
for us.
Yeah, Pete, in his own right, has done some amazing things, and yes, we have lots of thanks to Pete and another guy that we hang out with him more out of the studio than we really do in the studio. But we're very fortunate to have him. Part of the process.
Yeah, an engineer really needs to have patience of a saint, and he does. So that was great for all the punch-in and retakes.
Yeah, I know. I've been hanging out with you guys for a while, and I don't get the vibe that you need that much patience. But I've heard the word patience 5 times today. So, so there's got to be a story behind this that just. Maybe Anthony.
Oh, not me. No.
No. Could you talk about? Did you have patience? Did you need patience? To be with
well, not really, because the worse things got, the better it was for me. I
know that when Jerry Springer did television, they said we want television that if there's no sound, we still understand what's going on.
Right.
So is it like that?
Yeah, to a degree, you can figure it out. It's an intense putting a record together, putting any creative project together that involves more than one person is just a brutal thing to try to do. And tensions run high, egos run high. Everybody's got to do 110% on something like this, and they've already probably done 100% or maybe a little less on their daily job. It's exhausting. People are fried. And if you're not getting paid for it, which is the case for years and years and years, you see the worst in people sometimes.
Yeah, you see frustration.
Yeah, sure. These guys are still going at it. So that clearly they work together well enough to be here today doing this. So,
as musicians, I have to ask: there are plenty of great musicians out there that somehow don't get really heard. Like I remember seeing a band many years ago called 22 Brides, and I thought they were pretty good. And they never really broke out. And I thought their first album and their follow-up stuff was really, really good. And yet, there's like people like Debbie Benet and other, and they never, get out there in the ways that they should be. And yet you hear a lot of things that are played that are just, like again or or sure. Whatever. How do you feel as musicians about that? And I can imagine that the internet has probably helped overcome that so that you can have bigger followings, you can get critical mass. You don't necessarily need, radio play to get the word out anymore. But as musicians, what's that whole experience like about trying to get known and marketed and people know who you are and to get people to be, at venues to see you and to, get on radio stations and that kind of thing?
Well, the internet's really changed all that. The days of the whole, get signed and make an album and that would be, the stepping stone to fame and fortune. That's really not the case anymore. I mean, anybody with a computer with a internet connection can really go out and market themselves. I mean, it helps to have people behind you that have the experience to help you so that you don't kind of spin your wheels or waste energy in the wrong places. But yeah, I mean, the internet has changed it. We're pretty much going to be self-promoting. You know, we've got some backing, we've got distribution in place and all that. But you know, a lot of the legwork is done by the band these days. And so now, where you might have had a group that might never get heard, you know, those channels are available to everybody. You know, so it's encouraging for the people that are sitting home, you know, recording stuff in their bedroom. You know, they have a shot just like everybody else these days.
Well, what I can tell you is this: I'm an author. I wrote a book, and you know, it's sort of the same process. You know, you have to start with a blank piece of paper. I guess we talk about that in pre-production, and it's amazing the journey between the blank piece of paper and a finished book, or in your case, you know, a CD, and the amount of marketing and promotions and getting the word out and working for free, and you know, the book signings and the public appearances. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's different but the same. So, like what they said about the Simpsons movie, it's the same but different than the TV show, and it's the same thing. So between books and music, you know, you have to create. So it's a writing process. You need a finished product, and then you know the finished product is sort of just the beginning.
Sure.
Then you got to hawk it, and then you got to have it sort of get some traction,
Market, sell it.
Yeah, and then you know, and the public has sort of a short attention span for things, so you kind of have to always go out there and keep hitting them, you know. So anyway, this is like a blazing show. We played 2 songs. I wanted to see maybe we could get one more in, but we played. You said the first song that we played was called Never
Letting Go.
Never Let It Go. Tell me a little bit about that, and then tell me a little bit about Rosalie.
Well, Never Letting Go is actually a great song. You know, to kind of tie it all together, it's really been quite an experience already, and you know, going forward, I just can imagine what's around the corner for us. I mean, but
don't become so big that you don't come back.
Oh, no, we'll definitely come back and see it. A lot of it's been full circle. I mean, it's really bizarre how things have happened. But you know, the title itself kind of speaks, you know, a novel. You know, never letting go. You know, if you have a dream and you know that's what your heart desires, you know, never lose sight of that. You know, as long as you keep that fire going, you know, anything's possible, and that's really what the song speaks to. Rosalie is kind of you know, a fictional tale of a girl that was in an abusive situation that kind of finds her way out of it. And you know, sitting down, I tried to write universal lyrics that would touch a lot of people. I don't specifically talk about one individual occurrence. I kind of just leave things open for interpretation as much as I can, so that people listening can draw their own conclusions to the music. But you know, that's my focus now, lyrically, is to try and reach people and draw some emotion from them and share something with them.
That's cool. It's very deep. That's cool. Do we have like one more song we could try to squeeze in?
Sure.
What would you like to do? I see you have track 4 lined up there.
Yeah. Let it run.
I believe that's said and done.
All right, should we do that one?
Let's do
That's
that.
it.
All right, let's do it.
Can't deny something has changed. Your eyes show what you can't hide. Smile on your face has aged. Love disappeared overnight. I can't help but wonder, do you ever think about me as you're walking away? Sound of the slamming door. Lives that happened before. No, there's nothing between us now. disappeared overnight. I can't help but wonder, do you ever think about me as you're walking away and all is said and done? Then it's too late. It's always a little too late to slamming doors. Lies that I've heard before. When there's nothing, you find a way to keep your ego alive and blame it all on me. When there's nothing, find a way to keep your ego alive and blame it all on me.
Wow, you guys are really cool. I'll tell you. You should be very proud because what I've heard today was really, 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 really special.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thanks.
much.
You know, we have, I guess, a minute. So let me just, first of all, thank everybody for coming here. So Anthony Arkin, who's the director of State of Rock.
Today.
He's got a Facebook link, State of Rock. So for all you Facebookers out there, FB, check out.
Check it out. Become a fan.
All right, make sure everybody's real close to the mic. We have Craig Jordan on vocals. You have a beautiful voice, and if you ever become a drummer, at least you'll back up Rick. Rick DeLuca on drums, Pete Testa on guitars, Randy Rollner, who's my good buddy, on bass, and we got the film festivals probably coming up all across America in the future.
I hope so.
So wait, you're gonna check out if you want the band. And you want to send them an email because I'm sure there'll be fans out there and tell them you heard them on Taking Care of Business on WCWP. Speedmerchantband@gmail.com. This is Richard Solomon. If you want to propose a show or be a guest, tcbradio.com. Our archives are tcbradio.mypodcast.com. And we're going to let's just play something on the way out. Just cue it up. See, Randy knows all the equipment, so there you go. And all right. So we'll see you all in a week. Thanks for listening. And catch you on iTunes and on the internet.
Don't look away. See the circus on display. Called a rising mouse. Smoke out from your eyes. Lead me to the light. Reach the mystery.